Um, yeah, I'm just gonna get on here and just start talking. So this video is about Bitcoin alternatives. Okay, Bitcoin alternatives. So obviously, Bitcoin is probably going to be one of the greatest investments that one could make over the next 10 years. I know there's so many different uh, perspectives that people have, right? But all the people that are arguing against it, it's like you can't deny like just the results, the sheer results that it's had. And then when you dive deeper into, who's buying, right? Because that's the most important thing. Smart money is called smart money for a reason, right? It's not that these people are smarter than you that are purchasing, but it literally is creating the direction of the market. So it behooves you to, to get in line with where that money is flowing. And Bitcoin has some of the most upside potential. And you may not be a person that wants to even invest in the crypto itself, but I want to show you a few alternatives and a few little things, a few strategies that you may be able to put into place right now to make your bankroll a little larger, right? Get you in a position where in a few years, you're not worried about money anymore, right? Now, of course you can buy Bitcoin. You don't have to buy, a full Bitcoin, right? Because, if the average household is making less than 100,000, I think I saw a statistic today that was saying, and I'll probably put this up on the screen, but it was saying that the average household in America, or if I'm sorry, 15% of households in America make 100,000 or better. So, a lot of people do not make 100,000. And yes, this, probably accounts for some pretty severe situations, but for the most part, being able to put $100,000 in an investment is not something that most people can do. So that's the point that I'm trying to make, right? But fortunately enough, like there's so much growth on the horizon that you don't need $100,000 to buy a whole coin. You could buy fractions of Bitcoin, which is called a Satoshi, right? So you can buy Satoshis, which are just fractions of a Bitcoin. So whatever amount of money you have available to invest, you can put it into Bitcoin, and it can create the same gains that you would get, but it would just be relative to your Satoshis or your money, right? But if you don't want to get involved in Bitcoin directly, because you don't like the whole idea of crypto, or you don't like maybe it's difficult to to go purchase it, or you don't know where to hold it, you don't want to go through hard wallets and stuff like that, and you just want to stay in the stock market, there's also some other great opportunities, right? So I just want to go through a few of those with you. So there's Hut 8, right? There's iBit, which is like a 1-to-1 track of Bitcoin, but obviously a lot more affordable. There's MSTR, which is MicroStrategy, and there's also one of my favorites, which is MSTY, right? So MSTY is a ETF that's owned by a company called YieldMax, and it's just essentially like an ETF that uses covered call strategies on MSTR, right? So they're selling options on MSTR. MSTR owns the most Bitcoin of any owner of Bitcoin, any company that owns Bitcoin. They are the biggest owner. They own, I think the last video I made, they were like just at about 500,000. But if I know correct, matter of fact, we right here, we just talking. So let me just get accurate information for you real quick and just Google it. I'm gonna let you know right now. So MSTR holds how many Bitcoin? Right. Okay. So they're over the 500,000 now. Like I said, they got 582,000 Bitcoin. Right. 582,000 Bitcoin. That is extremely, high for a company that doesn't just buy Bitcoin for their company. Like they do, like MicroStrategy does other things, but they hold 582,000 Bitcoin. So this is the reason that, the MSTR strategy, or MSTY, I'm sorry, that the MSTY cover call strategy is so effective during times that, like Bitcoin is doing well, obviously, because the volume of people purchasing MSTR during a time of Bitcoin doing well is extremely high, right? So, and I just kind of go through, like a couple of these, but I'm going to just start with MSTY because it's my favorite one, and it's the one that I think has the most longevity, right? And it makes the most sense for a person that is looking to accumulate wealth over time, get some sort of income, and also, get a payout that is not typical, right? So my personal belief is that Bitcoin will be in the millions, right? We cannot accurately predict, right? But I've heard everything from 2 million to 13 million in the next 20 years. I've heard 2 million in the next 10 years, right? And these are not wild assumptions, right? We gotta definitely keep in context. I said, it's been a long day, y'all. Hey, look, I said context. What is context? I got to keep in context that Bitcoin was once under $10 and $1,000 Bitcoin was unrealistic to people. Then, 20,000, 60,000 was all of these levels that it kept just blowing through, over these past 15 years, people just thought was completely unrealistic. And, I think that we continue, maybe not the same exact pace, right? But there will definitely be some explosions over the next decade, right? The more digital we become, the weaker the dollar gets. There's so many different things that, can lead this, to that path. Like the biggest hedge funds that are purchasing this stock. I'm sorry, this crypto, this asset, right? It really just kind of like hints at the future. You look at anything there, these companies like BlackRock are always on the forefront of the next movement. They have the most money. They're going to be on the forefront. That's how they remain, right? That's how they maintain their position is kind of just like, deeply understanding. And there's a level of control too, right? Because, I personally believe that, laws get passed for certain reasons and certain industries get stalled so that certain people can get in those industries, if you understand what I'm saying, right? I'm not trying to get banned, so I'm just trying to make sure that, you follow me, right? It's like, if I could put this in simple terms, it's like the power structure is going to maintain itself, right? The wealthy are going to make sure that they are at the forefront of, anything that keeps them in that position. So, Bitcoin exploded before a lot of people even knew what it was or believed in it. So if it's going to be the future, they're like, all right, we got to make sure that we are part of this too, right? So MSTY, the reason I love it so much is because it pays so much money, right? It pays so much money and it's down pretty significantly from its high, right? It makes sense, right? Like Bitcoin has not been, it's had, had some runs, it's dropped, it's volatile, right? It looks like we're getting another pop now. So a company like, MSTY, we will start to see it going up. Like, matter of fact, even today, it was up 3%. MSTY was up 3%, and then go look at what Bitcoin was up, right? So you'll see how it kind of like follows that. So if we get a Bitcoin at what I believe is, going to be about 130 this next quarter, I think we see a 130,000 Bitcoin in this third part of the year, right? So like, the second, into the summer, into the fall, I think we see Bitcoin hit like 125, 130, maybe 140, right? You're going to see companies like MSTY go, 20, maybe 30% up as a result of Bitcoin doing that, right? Just because of how it tracks. So that's just the security. That's just the asset. But what MSTY also does is it pays higher dividends than normal. You look at like a SCHD, or you look like a Coca-Cola or Verizon, like they're not paying, more than like, 50, 60 cents, 70 cents. Like they're not paying dollar plus, and they're not doing it on a monthly basis. MSTY on the low end, like the last dividend, we just received, because I'm invested in this currently. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to go do it, but I'm in it and I'm just entertaining you guys. So, I have MSTY and the last payout was 147, right? So it was a little bit of a drop from the last one, because the previous month in May, we got paid 237. So I just want y'all to think about what 237 per share is on a stock that's in the 20s, right? Think about how much you can accumulate. So if you got let's say 1,000 shares in May, you would have made $2,300. You got 1,000 shares this month, you would have made, 1,470, right? On a monthly basis, the average payout for MSTY this year was about 250 over this. If you annualize it, right? It's been about 250, $2.50 per share. So on average, if you got 1,000 shares, on average, you're bringing in $2,500 a month, right? Think about what it takes to get 1,000 shares with $20 stock. It's not a ton, right? You don't have to have $1 million or $500,000 in dividend play for it to pay something that could take care of your lifestyle, right? So with MSTY going into a time where Bitcoin may be, entering like a strong a strong bull run, you could see MSTY perform really well because the interest in MSTR is going to be so high. Also, when Bitcoin is up, they pay higher dividends. There was a time where they even paid out $4.60 for a particular dividend, right? For a particular month. I think they paid out $4 plus like twice in the past year, right? So in times where Bitcoin is doing well, you could be making $4,000 on that 1,000 shares that you have, right? And you can scale it down, right? You can scale it down to, whatever it is that your budget is. But if you have a long-term outlook on this, right? Like I just told you what my perspective was on Bitcoin for like the next 5 to 10 years. If your perspective on Bitcoin is the same, if you think that Bitcoin is the future, right, then it would make sense that you would be securing a dividend paying asset that is highly steeped in a company that accumulates Bitcoin, right? And like I said, don't just take my word. Go do your homework. Go look at the history. Go look at MSTR's performance, right? And there's some naysayers out there, right? I don't think there's a stock that does well, just like anything, where there's not naysayers and people that are strongly against something or being like it's overvalued and it's like all these different things. But I would advise you to just kind of like take some time and like really go and look into MSTR. Go and look into the strategy that MSTY is using. Go look up the founders. Go listen to them speak. And go fully understand what a covered call is and how money's being made. That is going to give you much more information on how this income is accumulated and inform you on how they can actually pay this dividend out. It's very important for you to do that because if you feel like it's an asset that's like too good to be true, you'll wind up selling too early. So that's the only reason I'm saying that, right? It's always good to just know for yourself. Like never take somebody's word for it. I don't care how much of an expert they are, but I'm giving you guys like the little nuggets so that you guys can go and do your homework and build the confidence within yourself to start making plays, just like this. So when you, like I said, think about MSTY averaging like, 240, 250 on a dividend payout. So per 1,000, you're making 2,500. You can start to work towards what a early retirement would look like. Take a moment and calculate, like, how much do I need in 10 years to be able to to retire, or 5 years, right? This is like an early retirement setup I'm talking about, right? How much down is this stock? Like, just a retracement of this stock, what would that take my my actual ownership of the stock? What would that take my money to if it retraced? It's down like 20 something percent. If it retraced to the top, where would that take my current money, right? If I held it for 5 years and reinvested the dividends on a drip strategy, right? So every time I got paid out on that, every time I got that monthly payout, I went and bought more and let that just accumulate for 5 years, because I believe that Bitcoin is going to that, multi 100,000 million mark. What would that be in 5 years? Right? And go at the pace that you would not have to pull anything out, right? That's how I'm doing it. It's right. Don't overexert yourself because it pays so much and you're trying to get the biggest payout, but go at a pace where the money that's going in there is not needed, right? You don't get rich overnight. You get rich like over time. But when that time goes by and you've been doing the right thing, it really, really happens, right? But what we often do is we spend a lot of time trying to like take, super big swings, which, there is a time and a place for. But, even with this, like, this is considered risky in some people's eyes, but it is something that you're doing over time. So I told a few people about this maybe like 3 months ago. Told them to get in. They didn't get in. And now here we are 3 payments later and it's still here. It's not going, what I'm saying? It's not, I don't know. The hesitation could be like, a lot of times we look at stocks, it's like, okay, this might go to the floor or whatever. It's like, you gotta think about what the stock is connected to and what it is. Once you really understand what something is, it increases your confidence and you're not thinking crazy thoughts about the, worst case scenario, right? It is important to understand like what could go wrong, but what could go wrong in stocks is not likely, right? It's like I said this before, you get on a plane, you could crash. Planes could crash, but you're getting on a plane if you got to go across, the country. If you're going to Africa, you're going to, Europe, you're getting on a plane and you're not thinking like, I might die, but you're like, it could happen, but the chances is good enough for me to get on this plane to go see the safari or whatever I'm going to see. Right. It's like the odds of it not happening is good enough. So it's the same with your money. The odds of you losing your money is it can happen, but it's not likely. It's not likely enough to keep you from getting in there and benefiting from it. So like I said, there are people that I told 3 months ago that would have been, that were looking to get about 1,000 shares. They would be up, 7,500 now, or probably somewhere around like 6,000 because like the lower payout. So somewhere around $6,000 they would have. Right? $6,000 just came into your account from just holding an asset for 3 months. Right? And it possibly would have been a little bit more than that because of the drip strategy. Right? The reinvesting of, like the shares once that money comes in. So yeah, at this point I'm just, like I said, I just want you to do, do something that's going to set you up for the long term. Right. Again, if you're a Bitcoin believer, I think MSTY is the best bet. HUT 8 is great as well. HUT 8 has to retrace. It's down tremendously from its highs. But matter of fact, let's go look at HUT 8 real quick. HUT 8, and I'm not showing this on the screen, by the way. I'm just looking at this on my own. I'm not going to have this up on the screen. But HUT 8 is from its highs. Where are you from your highs, HUT 8? HUT 8 is down over 40% from its highs, 42% to be exact, 42.49 to be exact, right? HUT 8 is down 42%. Just retracing, right? Just retracing is a 42% gain if you're in equities. think about when Bitcoin goes on a tear, just for it to retrace to its high, you've made 42%. If it tears, it's probably going to go and find new highs, right? That's typically what stocks do over time. They find new highs. So what's happening in HUT 8 is just waiting for a bull run in crypto. So that's one option. We also have Coinbase, but Coinbase, they've been kind of under fire. I don't like how much they've been in the news lately for negative things. But even them, they're still going to move with Bitcoin. They're not going to just get left in the dust. Now, it may not move at the same rate, but it's not going to be going down as Bitcoin is going up. It just may not be as strong as some other companies that may be a little bit more trusted or have a little less, negative news. But again, we're talking about long term. Once they shake this news off, like everybody does, like Tesla's had bad news, Meta's had bad, every company's had bad news, and then they shake it off at some point. I still think it's a great, purchase long term. So again, Bitcoin, IBIT, HUT 8, MSTR, MSTY. Let's go look at where MSTR is right now. So MSTR is currently sitting at almost $400, right? Its high is 543. Its high is 543. Let's trace that out. So that's down about 27, 28%, right? So all of these companies are down, like a minimum of 20%. So just a retracing of any of these will get you a nice gain on equities. If you understand, options, you could do, leaps, you could do long-term swings for your options if you want to get higher percentages than you would just holding it in equities. But holding it in equities is obviously a safer bet. So that's what I got for you. I just wanted to share that. I know I've talked about MSTY before. I'm going to continue to talk about it because I really want you guys to understand like that, man, it's one of those things that just like Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin didn't happen overnight, but people looked up one day and it was just like, holy shit. People are always telling you that have spent their time doing the research. Like I spent my time, like people are always sharing things and you got to kind of like let it sink in. I'm not saying go do everything that somebody says, but if you feel something like right in here, right? If something is just like, oh, this might be the one, research it, get familiar with it, understand it, and then take action, because it's only from there that you're going to be able to fully see like, okay, this made sense. Not looking at something like, you never want to be I should have got into that. I'm not saying rush. I'm not saying have FOMO, but the cost of not taking advantage of a dividend stock that is paying high is the dividends that they've paid out and the growth that stock has had. So your opportunity, you're costing yourself, thousands of dollars by sitting on your hands, especially if that money is not being put to work somewhere else. So if there's money like this laying around, it's like you may want to start to consider places where it can go and do work for you. And the crypto space is in a place where it's still not fully understood by everyone, which is exactly where you want to be for a long-term investment, right? Because once everybody understands it, you know what we're going to do? Bye-bye. We're selling. Once it's mainstream, once it's like, oh yeah, I was seeing this, I saw this on the news, or like such and such, Kramer was talking about this, or it's like, once we get to that point, and I'm not saying that Bitcoin's not in the news, because it's definitely in the news, but once like, some of these stock like MSTY, like once these get to a point where, crypto is just widely accepted, like it is just a part of our exchange, right? Like we're spending crypto, we're getting crypto out the ATM. Yes, I know these exist, but I'm saying when that's the norm, right? And it's been fully adapted, like the people that have been sitting and accumulating are going to be the ones that's just like, yep. Oh yeah, I guess we'll give it back to y'all at this more expensive price. May keep a little something, but we definitely taking profits, right? Accumulation. The extra money that you have during this time, the economy that we're in, the things that are taking place, save your money, right? Invest in the market. If you don't need it, don't get it. Not in this time, right? I'm talking to my real traders that are trying to change their life, that are really trying to like make this next 5 years look, drastically different from the past 5 years. You got some real opportunities, right? Some real opportunities, and we're going to have some even bigger ones that come with this next drop. So that's all I got, man. It was good talking to you. It's always love over here. I hope that something that I said, connected with you. And I'm looking forward to each and every one of you being rich and letting me know how you did it. All right. Peace.